Introduction. The Science of Getting Rich was written and published by Wallace D. Wattles in the United States of America in 1910. Mr. Wattles was a practical author who encouraged his readers to test his theories on themselves rather than take his word as an authority. He claimed to have tested his methods on himself and others before publishing any of them. In The Science of Getting Rich, he outlines a practical system of getting rich which he had used to grow his own wealth. The system is based on universal laws which are exact and mathematical in their accuracy. The language used in the book, however, may be difficult for many readers or listeners to grasp at first, but the information contained in the book is so powerful that it is worth reading or listening to the parts that you do not quite understand the first time around over again until you do get it. I would strongly urge you to continue to the end of the book despite the use of the style of English language that is old-fashioned and belongs to the 1910 era. The style of writing is certainly different from how we communicate in this day and age. The audiobook that we have put together is an attempt to help readers to get through the book so that they might be encouraged to study the material daily and really apply it to their lives and get rich through the creative method outlined in the book. Rather than attempt to rewrite the book so that it may be more clearly understood, we have kept it in its original format so that none of the important gems of information get lost in translation. We have, however, made some changes in the form of using male and female terms where we could, since the original manuscript was seemingly directed only to men. In order to assist with understanding this book, we have put together a glossary of words and terms to accompany the book, and they can be obtained from www.successrealization.com. On the website, you can also find a digital copy of the book that you can download and share with your family, friends, and colleagues, as well as the audiobook. The material contained in The Science of Getting Rich has transformed the lives of a great number of people, and it is very probable that it will continue to improve the lives and financial status of many millions more. Our purpose at www.successrealization.com is to bring this material to light so that many more people can understand the method of getting rich explained in this book and use it to get themselves rich. It certainly is based on good principles and a solid foundation. We believe that you'll find it remarkable to learn that to get rich by the method within these pages, it is essential that you embrace and practice what we all know as the golden rule: treat others as you wish to be treated, as well as that the daily practice of gratitude is one of the channels by which your wealth will come to you, and that by accomplishing your financial dreams through this method, everyone with whom you come into contact will also have more. For me personally, having read this book, the changes did not seem to appear straight away. I read the book a few more times, following the instructions as best as I could understand. I didn't realize it then, but the effect actually had started immediately. Chance encounters occurred that led me to discovering more and getting a better understanding of the material, and then I got better results in my work and the growth in my business. I'd gotten a new appreciation for the power of sincere and heartfelt gratitude, extending deeper than the words, "Thank you so much." I recognized that I could feel appreciation and gratitude at a much deeper level, and that has led me to a connection with infinite intelligence that is developing more magically every day. That experience alone has been worth it for me. I feel fulfilled and wealthy, and even greater visions have appeared on my horizon that I am sincerely thankful for. This material is amazing and so simple. Mr. Wattles gets straight to the heart of the matter, presenting sufficient amounts of theory to make his point and nothing more. It can be applied by any person who desires riches badly enough that they are willing to read and apply this material. The author does not mince words when he suggests that you take the material as it is and practice it without trying to find out why they might work and other theories to it. Get rich first by accepting and practicing the contents, and you can go on and figure those things out later. Much of the material may go against previous ideas you may have had, but as you apply this information, you might find yourself saying, "Oh, now I understand why he said that." My advice is not to be discouraged if the material doesn't make perfect sense the first time. Read it or listen to it over again until you get it. It may take reading the book over several times to get better clarity and new insights. In fact, Mr. Wattles suggests that you read this book every day. It is sound advice. My sincere desire is that you read and apply this material to your life and get to experience the riches and the expansion of expression that riches bring to your life. Riches and expansion are truly yours, and God does desire that you have all that you desire earnestly. Read it, apply the principles, share it with family, friends, and colleagues. May you find in this material the simple tools to create the life of your dreams and to live it, as I have and many others have. Yours sincerely, David Janneman. The Science of Getting Rich by W.D. Wattles. Read by David Janneman. Preface. This book is pragmatical, not philosophical. A practical manual, not a treatise upon theories. It is intended for the men and women whose most pressing need is for money, who wish to get rich first and philosophize afterward. It is for those who want results and who are willing to take the conclusions of science as a basis for action, without going into all the processes by which those conclusions were reached. It is expected that the reader will take the fundamental statements upon faith, just as he would take statements concerning a law of electrical action if they were promulgated by a Marconi or an Edison, and taking the statements upon faith that he will prove their truth by acting upon them without fear or hesitation. Every man or woman who does this will certainly get rich, for the science herein applied is an exact science, and failure is impossible. In writing this book, I have sacrificed all other consideration to plainness and simplicity of style, so that all might understand. The plan of action laid down herein was deduced from the conclusions of philosophy. It has been thoroughly tested and bears the supreme test of practical experiment. It works. Very truly yours, W.D. Wattles. Chapter 1. The Right to be Rich. Whatever may be said in praise of poverty, the fact remains that it is not possible to live a really complete or successful life unless one is rich. No one can rise to his greatest possible height in talent or soul development unless he has plenty of money, for to unfold the soul and to develop talent, he must have many things to use, and he cannot have these things unless he has money to buy them with. A person develops in mind, soul, and body by making use of things, and society is so organized that man must have money in order to become the possessor of things. Therefore, the basis of all advancement must be the science of getting rich. The object of all life is development, and everything that lives has an inalienable right to all the development it is capable of attaining. A person's right to life means his right to have the free and unrestricted use of all the things which may be necessary to his fullest mental, spiritual, and physical unfoldment, or in other words, his right to be rich. In this book, I shall not speak of riches in a figurative way. To be really rich does not mean to be satisfied or contented with a little. No one ought to be satisfied with a little if he is capable of using and enjoying more. The purpose of nature is the advancement and unfoldment of life, and everyone should have all they can contribute to the power, elegance, beauty, and richness of life. To be content with less is sinful. The person who owns all he wants for the living of all the life he is capable of living is rich, and no person who has not plenty of money can have all he wants. Life has advanced so far and become so complex that even the most ordinary man or woman requires a great amount of wealth in order to live in a manner that even approaches completeness. Every person naturally wants to become all that they are capable of becoming. This desire to realize innate possibilities is inherent in human nature. We cannot help wanting to be all we can be. Success in life is becoming what you want to be. You can become what you want to be only by making use of things, and you can have the free use of things only as you become rich enough to buy them. To understand the science of getting rich is therefore the most essential of all knowledge. There is nothing wrong in wanting to get rich. The desire for riches is really the desire for a richer, fuller, and more abundant life, and that desire is praiseworthy. The person who does not desire to live more abundantly is abnormal. And so the person who does not desire to have money enough to buy all he wants is abnormal. There are three motives for which we live. We live for the body, we live for the mind, we live for the soul. No one of these is better or holier than the other. All are alike desirable, and no one of the three, body, mind, or soul, can live fully if either of the others is cut short of full life and expression. It is not right or noble to live only for the soul and deny mind or body, and it is wrong to live for the intellect and deny body or soul. We are all acquainted with the loathsome consequences of living for the body and denying both mind and soul, and we see that real life means the complete expression of all that a person can give forth through body, mind, and soul. Whatever he can say, no one can be really happy or satisfied unless his body is living fully in its every function, and unless the same is true of his mind and his soul. Wherever there is unexpressed possibility or function not performed, there is unsatisfied desire. Desire is possibility seeking expression or function seeking performance. A person cannot live fully in body without good food, comfortable clothing, and warm shelter, and without freedom from excessive toil. Rest and recreation are also necessary for his physical life. No one can live fully in mind without books and time to study them, without opportunity for travel and observation, or without intellectual companionship. To live fully in mind, a person must have intellectual recreations, and must surround himself with all the objects of art and beauty he is capable of using and appreciating. To live fully in soul, a person must have love, and love is denied fullest expression by poverty. A person's highest happiness is found in the bestowal of benefits on those he loves. Love finds its most natural and spontaneous expression in giving. The individual who has nothing to give cannot fill his place as a spouse or parent, as a citizen, or as a human being. It is in the use of material things that a person finds full life for his body, develops his mind, and unfolds his soul. It is therefore of supreme importance to each individual to be rich. It is perfectly right that you should desire to be rich. If you are a normal man or woman, you cannot help doing so. It is perfectly right that you should give your best attention to the science of getting rich, for it is the noblest and most necessary of all studies. If you neglect this study, you are derelict in your duty to yourself, to God and humanity, for you can render to God and humanity no greater service than to make the most of yourself. Chapter 2. There is a science of getting rich. There is a science of getting rich, and it is an exact science, like algebra or arithmetic. There are certain laws which govern the process of acquiring riches, and once these laws are learned and obeyed by anyone, that person will get rich with mathematical certainty. The ownership of money and property comes as a result of doing things in a certain way, and those who do things in this certain way, whether on purpose or accidentally, get rich, while those who do not do things in this certain way, no matter how hard they work or how able they are, remain poor. It is a natural law that like causes always produce like effects, and therefore any man or woman who learns to do things in this certain way will infallibly get rich. That the above statement is true is shown by the following facts. Getting rich is not a matter of environment, or if it were, all the people in certain neighborhoods would become wealthy. The people of one city would all be rich, while those of other towns would all be poor. Or all the inhabitants of one state would roll in wealth, while those of an adjoining state would be in poverty. But everywhere we see rich and poor living side by side, in the same environment, and often engaged in the same vocations. When two people are in the same locality and in the same business, and one gets rich while the other remains poor, it shows that getting rich is not primarily a matter of environment. Some environments may be more favorable than others, but when two people in the same business are in the same neighborhood and one gets rich while the other fails, it indicates that getting rich is the result of doing things in a certain way. And further, the ability to do things in this certain way is not due solely to the possession of talent, for many people who have great talent remain poor, while others who have very little talent get rich. Studying the people who have gotten rich, we find that they are an average lot in all respects, having no greater talents and abilities than other people have. It is evident that they do not get rich because they possess talents and abilities that others do not have, but because they happen to do things in a certain way. Getting rich is not the result of saving or thrift. Many very penurious people are poor, while free spenders often get rich. Nor is getting rich due to doing things which others fail to do. For two people in the same business often do almost exactly the same things, and one gets rich while the other remains poor or becomes bankrupt. From all these things, we must come to the conclusion that getting rich is the result of doing things in a certain way. If getting rich is the result of doing things in a certain way, and if like causes always produce like effects, then any man or woman who can do things in that way can become rich, and the whole matter is brought within the domain of exact science. The question arises here as to whether the certain way may be not so difficult that only a few may follow it. As we have seen, this cannot be true, as far as natural ability is concerned. Talented people get rich, and blockheads get rich. Intellectually brilliant people get rich, and very stupid people get rich. Physically strong people get rich, and weak and sickly people get rich. Some degree of ability to think and understand is, of course, essential, but insofar as natural ability is concerned, any man or woman who has sense enough to read and understand these words can certainly get rich. Also, we have seen that it is not a matter of environment. Yes, location counts for something. One would not go to the heart of the Sahara and expect to do successful business. Getting rich involves the necessity of dealing with people and of being where there are people to deal with. And if these people are inclined to deal in the way you want to deal, so much the better. But that is about as far as environment goes. If anybody else in your town can get rich, so can you. And if anybody else in your state can get rich, so can you. Again, it is not a matter of choosing some particular business or profession. People get rich in every business and in every profession, while their next-door neighbors in the very same vocation remain in poverty. It is true that you'll do best in a business which you like and which is congenial to you. And if you have certain talents which are well developed, you will do best in a business which calls for the exercise of those talents. Also, you will do best in a business which is suited to your locality. An ice cream parlor would do better in a warm climate than in Greenland, and a salmon fishery will succeed better in the Northwest than in Florida, where there are no salmon. But aside from all these general limitations, getting rich is not dependent upon your engaging in some particular business, but upon your learning to do things in a certain way. If you are now in business and anybody else in your locality is getting rich in the same business, it is simply because you are not doing things in the same way that the other person is doing them. No one is prevented from getting rich by lack of capital. True, as you get capital, the increase becomes more easy and rapid, but one who has capital is already rich and does not need to consider how to become so. No matter how poor you may be, if you begin to do things in the certain way, you will begin to get rich, and you will begin to have capital. The getting of capital is part of the process of getting rich, and it is part of the result which invariably follows the doing of things in the certain way. You may be the poorest person on the continent and be deeply in debt. You may have neither friends, influence, nor resources, but if you begin to do things in this way, you must infallibly begin to get rich, for like causes must produce like effects. If you have no capital, you can get capital. If you're in the wrong business, you can get into the right business. If you're in the wrong location, you can go to the right location. And you can do so by beginning in your present business and in your present location to do things in the certain way which always causes success. You must begin to live in harmony with the laws governing the universe.